World-traveling photographer L.B. Jeffries is stuck. After breaking his leg on the job, he is confined to his New York City apartment. His success and beautiful girlfriend aren't enough to distract him, so Jeffries takes to spying on his neighbors to pass the time. What starts something to pass the time becomes an obsession. Is he seeing what he thinks he's seeing? Or is it all in his head? Is murder in the eye of the beholder? Or will this be the most important story of his life?
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about Rear Window from 1954. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock, written by John Michael Hayes, based on the story by Cornell Woolrich, cinematography by Robert Burks, composed by Franz Waxman, edited by George Tomasini, costume design by Edith Head, starring Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly, Thelma Ritter, Wendell Corey, and Raymond Burr. Michelle, how are you?
How are you, Seth? It's our first Hitchcock. Cheers.
It is the first Hitchcock, the first movie of Mystery March.
That too. Wow, that almost sounded like a tongue twister.
Did it?
Well, yeah, movie March.
I liked that I always try to come up with silly names for the months.
You're good at it. You're really good.
Do you feel mysterious?
I do.
Okay.
Always.
Hey, I want to talk about mystery movies, but before we do that, we got an email.
Wow.
This person's writing in to talk about our episode on Get Out.
Get out.
And we just so happen to be recording this on Jordan Peele's birthday.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
How do you have that fact ready to go?
Hey, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So they say, I am in shock that Seth might be coming around on this genius horror film. One of the smartest films in a genre that has a long history of social messaging. That's very true.
Yes.
The acting is so solid across the board. No notes. This is a top 100 horror, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I know nothing about horror,
bold.
so okay. That's bold.
That's bold. Yeah, I don't know that I'm there yet. Listeners, if you haven't heard our episode on Get Out, I went on a whole journey of rediscovery and renewal and appreciation for the film. But I am not at top 100. I can tell you that much. P.S. The liquid and food partying in the mouth together is so revolting, I audibly made a retch.
I'm so sorry.
P.S.S. Seth needs to do guided meditation. P.S.S.S. Meh is not great, but no worries and will do are the absolute worst. You say no worries.
Ooh, I do.
Yeah.
But if you know me when I'm saying it, it's very much with like that anxious, no worries, but like all the worries.
Right.
Yeah. That little tone behind it.
P.S.S.S.S. I'm so proud of Mitch for loving this and Seth's 180 degrees.
Hey, well, thank you.
And that was from Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Glad
You can always
happy
tell
to
an
make you
email.
proud.
You can always tell an email's from Ben when there's no introduction.
Well, I always feel like I can guess it's Ben with the PS.
Well, yes.
Yes.
So normally when we talk about a movie that one of us hasn't seen, we'll go to our pre-recorded thoughts before watching. But Michelle, you are a frequent Rear Windower.
I am. Yeah, I've seen this 3 times.
That's crazy to me.
Isn't that nuts?
Yes.
Like, because I don't go back and watch movies unless it's Clueless or Mean Girls. Right. So the fact that I've seen this 3 times is pretty wild. And I've seen Vertigo twice. And like I said last week, I still have never seen Psycho.
Why have you seen Rear Window so many times, if I may ask?
Sure. I saw it in school.
Okay.
And then when Kyle and I were going on our movie journey of watching like the top 100 films,
Yep.
our rule for that was we're not going to watch a movie if one of us has seen it, or I think if both of us have seen it. But I like
Okay.
pushed for this. I was like, this is so good. I love Rear Window. And I went on like a big rant and I made him and Aunt watch it. And then for the podcast, what?
Got it.
What?
So in getting ready for this, you kept saying there's someone that I've talked to about Rear Window. Was it Kyle? Was it our
Yeah.
friend Kyle?
You know what? As upon retrospect, I think it was Kyle.
Hey, mystery solved.
Mystery solved.
Michelle kept saying, I've talked about this movie with someone. Who is it? Who is it? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I've talked about this movie with 20 people. Like can't, I can't remember. We thought it
Yeah,
might have been
and
Krista.
right. And like I said, I watched this in school, so I probably talked about it with my classmates.
Right. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you loved it then.
obsessed. Obsessed.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is like a feast for the eyes. It's inspiring. You can't look away. It's captivating.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with Rear Window?
I have not been a big Hitchcock guy my whole life.
Did you avoid him because everyone loved him?
I wouldn't say that he was one of the guys that I avoided straight up. It's just
Mhm.
like until recent years, I didn't have access to a lot of his films. I watched The
Mm.
Birds when I was younger, and I remember
Mhm.
like being like, "Oh my god, this is pretty
Wasn't
scary."
that scary? It's
Yeah,
scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Hitchcock movies with my son because it's like movies for older people, but there's not a lot of like real inappropriate content, you know? So I watched Rope with him New Year's Day 2022 and he loved it. Like he was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so then we started watching all these other movies and we watched The Birds and I was like, yeah, I don't think the violence is too bad. And then I was like, oh my God, like some of this violence is actually pretty intense.
Mhm.
And then we watched Rear Window yesterday in preparation, which I had seen before. So I think that this is my favorite Hitchcock movie.
Well, what did Job think? I'm assuming it was Job.
Yes.
Okay. I would
he
love Theo's commentary too, but Job's.
he loved it when we were looking out the windows after maybe like 15 minutes. He said, "Wait a second. Is this movie just someone looking out of a window?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Keep watching." He's like, "Cuz that would be awesome." And then
Nice.
anytime they were back into the apartment and it was, he is at the age, despite our best efforts, he is at the age where people are kissing on screen and he's like, bleh.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. He's a big Calvin and Hobbes fan. So,
Mhm. Got it.
he likes to imitate. Yeah. So whenever we're back into the apartment going over the details of what's happening, he was like, this is kind of boring. And I was like, oh,
Sure.
you don't like it? He's like, oh, no, it's really great. It's just very boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm glad you can make that distinction now.
Right.
But, and yeah, anytime we were looking in people's windows, he was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. And I was like, maybe I should be worried.
He's gonna pick up a new hobby.
Yeah. He's like,
Hmm.
let me rear window somebody.
Hand me those binoculars.
Because you've seen this before, I know it's hard to remember, but I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, can you recall when you watched this for the first time, did you think that Thorwald was the killer or a killer at all? Or did you have that sense of like, is Jimmy Stewart just making all this up?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer your question with this. Even though I've seen this more than once, when I was watching it for the podcast, I said to Aunt, "Wait, is he really the killer?" I absorb content for a very short amount of time
Yeah.
and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And so like in the moment, I don't know how I felt or the first time, but like if I were to have a conversation about Rear Window maybe like a week ago, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I love it. it's so like I love the visual aspect of it and the way it was shot and Jimmy Stewart. But they're like, oh, remember this part? And I'm like, oh yeah, he thinks someone murdered someone,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I couldn't tell you if that's I didn't remember that. I remember the last shot of Lisa in the jeans.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
like that clear.
Hmm.
But I was like, wait, does and as I'm watching it, I'm remembering it, of course. But yeah, so nope.
It that brings up something that I don't want to say I wrestle with because, as I've said many times, I'm not a cinephile or a movie buff. I'm a movie guy, right? And so, to me, all of this is not the most serious thing in the world, right? I love movies, but whatever. So, I think like what does it mean to say I've watched this movie, right? And
Right.
we're in this digital age where everything is cataloged and I can say, well, I have, over 3,000 films logged. What does that mean? And like how much of that do I remember? Cuz I have a pretty good memory. If you ask me
Yeah,
about a
you do.
movie,
You
I can
do.
usually remember things, but like you're saying, and I'm using you as an example because this is me sometimes as well. You've watched Rear Window twice and couldn't remember like the climax of the movie.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think people should be more humble, I guess. I can't really articulate what I'm saying.
No, I get you. And we talk about this all the time is when you watch a movie, you don't every person's going to take away something different.
Yeah.
And so to me, the climax of the movie is not the biggest deal. For me. For me, it's like the
I agree.
visual aspect.
Yeah.
Um I'm more captivated in the set design and that's what I remember the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so if someone I guess yeah, like it's not competitive. It's what you take from something,
Yeah.
the impression that the film gave you.
And the feeling you're left with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important to remember to go into movies with a happy, good attitude and not just be looking for what's wrong and not be trying to quantify everything and
Right.
trying to say, oh, how will this do in this category, at this awards body next year and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, get out of here, nerd.
Get out of here. Movie. What did you call them? Cinephiles?
Cinephiles and movie buffs and
I would
film
love you to
critics.
write a little post on breaking down those three categories for me.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know you said you watched Vertigo. Have you seen any other Hitchcock movies?
Just the birds,
Okay.
which
How do you
like
feel about that?
scared the I didn't realize I had a fear of birds
Yeah.
until and any time there's like a flock of
Yes.
crows on my lawn, that happens frequently because like in the spring they're all getting the worms. I'm like, I don't want to go outside. Like they're freaked out. And I don't have a
Yes.
bird fear.
Right.
But that movie I really liked it. And like I said, like, when am I going to watch Psycho? Psycho is kind of It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, might have to do it for Christmas then.
Can we?
We should do Home for the Holidays Part 2, but it's
Yeah.
all horror movies based around like home locations.
Ooh, I like that twist there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, add Psycho. Add to the list. I've seen like every, studio back tour you do. Here we go back to the theme parks. They're like,
Yeah.
this is how Psycho was filmed with chocolate syrup as the
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, great, I've seen this one scene like 5,000 times.
right.
And then I watched Bates Motel, that TV show.
Did
That's
you
what
watch
it's
all of
called,
it?
right? No. But I
Okay.
liked it. Yeah, with Norman. It was like Norman Bates as a kid, how he got started, right?
Yeah. I just remember thinking when that came out, I was like, who cares? Like
Oh,
a
me.
whole TV show? Like a whole TV show? I don't need to know how I know how he got started because I've seen the movie.
Right. And I've
But
seen the
I
house. And I've seen the house too.
yeah,
Norman
it's
Bates' house.
there's a house and then there's
Yeah.
the hotel that they
Right.
operate right next door. Yeah.
So I've seen that whole Psycho scene, theme parks and stuff. But anyway,
Hitchcock is great.
yeah.
real big jerk in real life.
Oh no, really?
Oh yeah, really.
Ugh. See, I didn't do that far research.
Yeah, and I we're not going to talk about Hitchcock. Like this isn't the Hitchcock episode,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
One, I don't know a ton about him.
Okay.
Two, I haven't seen, like I said, all of his movies. I'm trying to see right now what I've
I'm
seen
really
of
curious
his.
on Rope. When I was looking up his filmography and I was reading about Rope and how it was shot in like 10 long continuous takes,
Yeah,
that's fascinating to me.
yeah. Rope is my favorite of his.
Yeah.
Everyone puts Vertigo, North by Northwest. I'm kind of I'm lukewarm on those ones, you know?
Okay.
Like
Mm-hmm.
clearly they're good and great, but for me it's like Rope, Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, The Birds. Um so I just looked up. I've seen 16 of his movies, so I guess I've seen more than I thought I did.
Wow. So do you
Yeah.
think mystery is his genre? Like this is where he, you know,
Well, I'm
succeeds.
glad you asked. I'm glad you asked because something that I've thought about prior to us doing Mystery Month is like, what is a mystery movie?
Right.
When does a movie become a mystery movie and not a thriller or not a noir or not a police procedural, even? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
mysteries, they'll have a detective character, but so do noir and so
Yeah,
do
like who done it?
thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
So, in thinking about now like what movies we're going to be doing and talking about this month, I was like giving myself a headache trying to find the limits of this genre, and I was almost like, I don't think that this is a real genre.
We should have
Like,
thrown it back because the patrons chose this is the first patron chosen month, right? The
yeah,
theme.
yeah, yeah.
So we should have just been like, nope, pick again, patrons.
Well, no, no, no. Like, I think it is, but like, it's just. And please send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think makes a mystery movie, because there are
Yeah.
some movies that there's a mystery that you didn't realize there was even one until like the end. And so you didn't know what you were watching. Like, what makes a mystery movie a mystery? And that's why I started with Rear Window, because to me it's like a mystery movie. We have a
Mm-hmm.
mystery, we solve
Mm-hmm.
it, and the movie ends.
Plain and simple.
Plain and simple. This was the one that I felt doesn't fit into it does, as like a secondary category or genre, fits into some of those other ones. But and then you and I have been talking about some of the movies that you're going to pick. I've been thinking about the movies that I was going to pick and really going over like, is this a mystery? And so to me, mysteries are a mystery, I guess. Doesn't it sound
There
weird
you
when
go.
you say a word 100 times in a row?
Yes. That
Yeah.
happens to me daily.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like,
it's like,
this
all right,
isn't right.
this word has lost meaning now. Something that I love about this movie and how it's laid out is like in police movies, sometimes you'll have the big board, right? And it's like connected with string, and all the pictures are there and the facts are there. And the police will stand around and like look at it. And at some point they'll like make a connection, or, something will reveal itself by like looking at all the information. And for Jeffries, like the window, that is the big board, like all of the information that he needs and that he knows, and all the different characters, it's all right there in front of him. And the whole movie is just him like absorbing that, and then
Mm.
trying to, put together all the different connections until he solves it. So I like
Very
that
well
kind of
said.
spin
Very
on
well said,
things.
Seth.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Thanks.
So one thing I noticed right off the bat,
Yeah.
right? We, we open with panning the whole complex, but then Jeffries is on the phone. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're learning the backstory as he's on the phone with his editor, right? He's on the phone with his editor, his
Yep.
job. And that's where we learn that he's out on the job and he got hurt. However, when this is happening, where the point of view is Jeffrey's looking at all the people in the complex.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm having a hard time paying attention and learning this exposition right here. I'm focusing on Miss Torso and the guy playing the piano and the newlyweds moving in.
Yeah,
And so I was curious if this ever occurred to you, like we're learning the backstory, like you should be paying attention to what's being said on the phone and the conversations happening. But what we're seeing are actually these vignettes of everybody's life.
definitely. And I almost always have a hard time paying attention when they're in the apartment if we can see out the window at all,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm just looking for clues or I'm looking for more information about the different characters. So
Right.
yeah, definitely. And as I watched it, I rewound that conversation because I was like, are we lining up what's being said on the phone with what's happening outside? And like I felt like that might be happening a little bit, and I was like, I don't know. I'm
We're
not sure.
not. We're not. We're just learning about him being in the cast and what
Yeah.
happened, but like we're looking at all these people living their lives. And so I'm like, I want to focus. I can't multitask here.
Yeah. 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 And we
It's
do get,
challenging.
when we go across his apartment, we also see a lot of details about,
Yes.
we see like the picture from the
Yeah.
car crash. We see the
Yeah.
smashed camera.
Yeah.
We get the great negative of Lisa, and then
Uh-huh.
the cover art, the magazine that's the cover art for, and it's cool.
It is
For
cool.
like a one location kind of a movie, it's really jam packed. Like you said, it's like a feast for the eyes. Even the lamps, like as she's
Mm-hmm.
turning on all the different lamps, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
noticing the different shapes of them and the way that they're laid out around the apartment. And it's cool. It's cool. It's definitely a movie that you can rewatch and rewatch. This is probably like my sixth time watching it, and I was still very interested in everything. I mean, even, which we'll talk about the neighbors one by one, but the sculptor, she wears hearing
Yeah.
aids.
Yeah.
She has a little,
Uh-huh.
a radio to turn it up and down. What an interesting detail.
Choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's interesting. LB, as I like to call him,
Okay, we can call him LB.
or Jeffries.
Not Jeff, though. I don't want to do Jeff.
I agree. I agree.
We're
I'm
not
glad you
doing
said
Jeff.
that because I
No.
saw some people call him Jeff, and I'm like,
No,
Jeffries is
no.
his last name.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm not calling you Jeff. It's not happening.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe LBJ. I don't know.
Yeah, that works. LBJ.
He's LBJ and she's LCF. Does it mean
LCF is
anything?
more of like a mouthful. Oh, I see. We're creating something here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I did write that down and then immediately deleted it.
Oh.
That's me trying to solve a mystery. LBJ LCF. And then I'm like counting the distance in letters, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I solving it? This has nothing to do with the mystery in the movie. What am I
Right.
doing?
I'm creating a mystery that's not a
Yeah.
mystery.
He's such a jerk in this movie.
I know, and we love Jimmy Stewart.
We
I'll speak for myself. I love Jimmy Stewart. So he does a really good job of playing, not his charming self.
Right. No, I love him too. I think he's great, and I think that he's great in this movie.
He is, yeah.
I get it. Like he's frustrated at the point that we see him. He has been in a wheelchair for 5 weeks, unable to like scratch his legs.
Yeah. Ooh.
And
Ooh, that
what I
feeling.
noticed about him, the main read on this movie, right, is all about voyeurism and how watching the movie forces you to go on this like voyeuristic journey with LB.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. And I've heard that like 1,100,000 times. And I'm not disagreeing with that. Incredibly smart people, they all agree that that's what this movie is. For me, how I took his character was he very much prides himself on not leading an ordinary life, right?
Yeah.
That's his big criticism of Lisa. He's like, I want my life to be more than a new dress and a lobster dinner and the latest scandal. And he just reduces and minimizes her to those three things, which is horrible.
Because it's not very ordinary, honestly.
She's going
Like,
to meet the Harper's Bazaar people. Like,
yeah,
what are
in
you,
like Paris
crazy?
fashion.
Right. But that's the thing is he is blind. He is
Yes.
totally
Yes.
blinded. His life, his experiences, and his knowledge, they've made him feel above, normies, normal people, right? And, better than Lisa. And the broken leg forces him to see into all of these individual people's lives. And at first, he's mocking them and he's making nicknames for them. But over the course of the movie, we see all of their lives in a much deeper way. Miss Lonely Hearts, that's a whole movie right there. Even the newlywed couple who we just assume the entire time, they're doing newlywed stuff. And then at the end, she's like, "You quit your job? I never would have married you if you had quit your job." And there's all these things that come out when we see people for longer than just like a snapshot, and when we don't pass judgment on them and just say like, "Well, you live a boring life."
Right.
And, the biggest version of that obviously is, murder.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah, it's like I think he kind of goes on this journey of realizing like, oh, my own backyard has just as much intrigue and interest as, all around the world. All the places I've gone all around the world.
Yeah, and I mean, in this, I get it, he's frustrated, right? Because he can't move and his leg is in a cast. But like his profession as a photographer, he's a photojournalist. And
Mm-hmm.
so he's constantly capturing a split-second moment through a
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah. And it forces him to slow down. I wanted to talk, briefly. We don't need to talk a ton about this, but one of the big criticisms of him in this movie, and I'm right there with everybody, is just his constant like pushing away of Grace Kelly, of Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never thought about it before, but his cast isn't just on his leg.
Uh-huh.
Like his cast covers his nether regions. Does it not?
I thought it was just the leg. I was more interested, like, did we cut the one pajama pant leg off? Because it's not covering the cast. So is one like just a short?
It might be. It might
Yeah.
be. But then at the end, when he has both legs broken,
Yeah.
that's covering everything.
What? It was a full bottom half cast?
I'm pretty sure it's a full bottom half cast.
I took it just as he was pushing her away because he's like, no, can't get involved, Lisa. Lisa, you're too ordinary.
Yeah.
But don't go, though.
But don't go, though. God. When he's like, well, he spends like 15 minutes just berating her.
Dick.
And then as she's leaving, he's like, well, can't we just keep things status quo? And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking
I screamed. I have in my notes, like, status quo? Get out of here.
But what is status quo? Because she comes over and brings him dinner, and he's still so angry and so mad. It's like he wants that, but he just wants to be like, look, I want to be extremely clear. We are not getting married.
Yeah. So can we just like casually do this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another big part of the read on this movie is like how he is, he's a former soldier. He's in the war with the detective who comes around to help him. He prides himself on traveling the world, going to very dangerous places. And now he's like neutered in a way, right? He's not sexually active with Lisa. He's not able to go and do any of the investigations himself. It's these two women in his life who he's, not the nicest to, that are able to go and like do the actual thing that propels the story forward. And he just has to sit back and watch.
Right.
And like when Lisa's getting attacked in the apartment, it's like watching like a little kid. Like he's so helpless and like useless. I would have started screaming out the window to all the neighbors who are around
I
all the
know.
time. I would have been
I
like,
know.
"Hey, Thorwald is killing my girlfriend."
Yeah, like lean over. I
Yeah.
know. I know.
But yeah, so it's just interesting to see like him be such a big misogynistic jerk on one hand, and then on the other hand, be completely helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
So helpless.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he does. Deserves to break both legs.
I mean, not to jump straight to the ending, but isn't that ending like when you see now he has two broken legs? Isn't it like, I love it? Like, I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
The movie doesn't end with him like breaking his cast off and saving the day. It's like, no, you're actually stuck here longer now.
Yeah.
But hopefully with a new appreciation for Lisa and life.
We have a
And
whole compromise, you know? She's going to put down her fashion magazines. Well, she'll just incorporate other reading material
right,
in. She'll
right.
wear pants so she can go, you know, get muddy and dirty.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I've never thought about it like that.
Oh, that's like one of the scenes that sticks out to me
Yeah.
when they
But
were
that's, of
panning up.
course, yeah, of
Yeah.
course that's what it is. Because she
Yeah.
wears dresses all the time.
That's right.
Yeah. But
He
never
didn't
the same
know.
one twice.
That's right.
I remember as a kid, we used to get like what is it, like 16 magazine or like Teen Beat,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember there was this rapper who said, he's like, once I got rich, I never wear the same pair of underwear 2 days in a row.
Ah.
Oh, wait. No, wait. I never wear underwear more than once. So he opens up new underwear, wears it for the day, and then throws it away.
Such waste.
And that was like his version of, being very rich. And that
Making
has
it.
stuck in my mind ever since.
Hmm.
So that's what I thought of when I was thinking of Lisa only wearing a dress once.
A little different, but yes.
So I wanted to talk to you about voyeurism.
Sure. Let's do it.
I think that, and pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about right now and ask you about is not talking about the like sexual version, or how do I say
The
this?
peeping Tom of it all?
It's not it's just like without the sexual component, right?
Okay.
Because I don't believe that what LB is doing in this has anything to do with sexual excitement or interest beyond Miss
No.
Torso. Like, he's definitely looking at Miss Torso.
Listen, I think we're all looking at Miss Torso. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
I get extreme joy from watching Miss Torso.
She's a great dancer. Isn't it crazy
Sure.
how she's in this like real small apartment and she just fills up the whole space
She's great.
like in
And
an
we see her.
instant?
Oh my God. And just watching her go into the bathroom and get
Yeah.
ready. And then we just
Yeah.
watch. It's just beyond. But yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you. I
This is
don't.
her first movie. Yeah. Supposedly she was 17.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
like
could
just
believe that.
super young, but just fills up the frame, man.
She's so good.
And in like a tiny little dollhouse perspective
Oh,
too.
God.
I would have loved to be able to like go in and just see her like
I know.
move around the whole. Yeah, she's great, but yeah.
We'll get to her. We will get to her. But okay, voyeurism, I agree with you. I don't view him as a peeping Tom.
Yeah, yeah. It's just there's nothing else to do.
Right? What else? You have a giant window. You live in Greenwich Village in a complex.
Yeah.
I would be doing the same thing. I do the same thing.
Yeah, you have a courtyard.
In a way.
You're looking out into the courtyard.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
you're telling me you don't look at your neighbors?
Right.
Get out of here.
Right.
Get out of here.
So like I mentioned before, like a big read on this movie is, hey, LB is looking at people, but you are also looking at people alongside with him because you as the audience, you're also watching. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with that. Because it's pretty well established criticism in this movie. My thing is just the comparison only goes so far because it's not the same thing.
me ask you something. You're watching a horror movie,
Yeah.
okay, and you see the killer murder the young girl. Are we
Yeah.
now murderers because we're watching it happen?
Well, this is what I was heavy into this afternoon, brushing up
Uh-huh.
on some of these things. When I got to into like philosophy and Sigmund Freud and the idea of like the beholder and what they behold, and how when you behold something, that thing becomes an object. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm just gonna not go so far, because it's like, I
Wait, get
understand, I get
crazy.
it, and it's a big part of why do people watch movies. There's a documentary called The Pervert's Guide to Cinema, and it comes from this idea that like cinema is the ultimate pervert art, which is a quote from Slavoj Zizek. And he says it doesn't show you what you want, it shows you how to want what you want. And it's like everyone gets together and you turn the lights off and you're viewing and you're leering and you're experiencing, but you're not the one actually in it.
So essentially, you're just living vicariously through the film.
Yeah, and like you said, you're watching people get murdered. Why is there something inside of you that enjoys that?
I mean, not me because I don't watch
Well,
horror.
sure.
I was just trying to use like an extreme
Well,
example.
right, but like, why do you like watching people? Why
Yeah.
does, we take movies for granted as something that has just existed. But
Yeah.
you're saying, you're like, explain to someone what you're gonna go do when you watch a movie. Like, well, I go into this room with strangers and we turn the lights off and we watch people pretend to do other things. That's a bad explanation, because we've had art, we've had performance, right, on stage well before we had movies. But it is something that I think is worth exploring within yourself. Why do I enjoy watching this?
That's why I enjoy watching comedy because I like
Yeah,
to laugh and it gives me that feeling of a
right,
comfort.
right.
And so that's what
Eh,
I get out of that,
So
right?
that's right, and that's correct, and that's like the easy answer. But when you look at Rear Window, why do I like watching this guy watching other people? Do I wish that I was watching other people?
Yeah. And like I said at the top of the show, I like watching Rear Window because of how it looks in terms of
Yeah,
the set design, because I
yeah,
couldn't even remember if the guy was a murderer
yeah. So it's interesting thinking
in the
about like
jeans. Yeah.
1954 to
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
how our view and our experience with voyeurism, or just people watching, let's just call it people watching.
Yeah.
Right now, people are listening in on a conversation that you and I have recorded,
Mm-hmm.
and they listen to us
Yeah.
regularly. What
Yeah.
is that?
I know, isn't that strange? And
you
we
know?
say it all the time. Like me and you are friends, and if our friends listen, that's fine. But then we have strangers listen, like people we
Yeah.
don't even know stuff about you and know stuff about me.
Yeah, it's true.
I've had, and I also on Total Betty, like I've had listeners write in and be like, "Oh yeah, when Michelle said this, or Michelle's really into this, or this seems like," and I'm like, "Whoa, this just creeped me out."
Right, but it's
Right,
literally what the show is designed to do.
right. I
And then when
know.
it does it, we're like, Wait."
Wait,
If someone says like, "Oh, I listened to that episode," my first response is always, "Oh, don't do that. Why would you
same.
do that?"
I'm always like, "Oh
it's like
no."
it's like, of course that's what we want. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and also like you said, you would be doing what he's doing. I would be doing what he's doing. Although, well, I guess in 54 I wouldn't be able to do this, but if it were me and I was laid up, I'd be watching movies. I wouldn't be.
Right.
Right. But I think that we do this all the time in our day-to-day life. You hear people talking in a restaurant and you
Yes.
listen in on what they're saying.
Which is like
Or
one of my favorite things to do.
yeah, you're at the beach and you see, a family 20 feet away spill all of their cheese doodles all over, and you
Yeah.
pay attention, you're interested in what's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'm not trying to like come to the defense of LB. I'm just saying, look inside yourself And ask yourself, as someone who is on Instagram and watching influencers and listening to podcasts and watching movies, ask yourself how different you would be in his situation.
I feel that many people, well, let me not generalize here, but there's a good amount of people that would be the same way.
Yeah. I think it's human.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's curiosity too.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about the cast. Talk about the main cast first.
Yeah.
And I want to start with Thelma Ritter as the nurse.
My girl Stella.
Stella. How did you
The
feel about her?
sass on her
Yeah.
and just like giving it real
Yeah.
every time. She is so quick-witted. Even though she says I'm not educated, she says something along those lines of like, I'm not like an educated person. But I was like, what are you talking about? Yes, you are. You have
Yeah.
wisdom for days and you're a nurse, insurance nurse. So
Yeah.
I absolutely love her. And they have this conversation about what marriage is today and how it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how like when her and her partner met, they got married like right away and there was like no conversation about it. And today I wrote down the line of wives don't nag anymore, they discuss,
Yeah. He's on with his editor. Yeah.
which I love. I love
Yeah.
that. And Stella doesn't really prescribe to that. But I got a kick out of her, and I love we see her more throughout the film start to believe him and support his theories on what's
Yeah.
happening. Like
Yeah.
she is there to support in every way. So what do you think of her?
I did love that she joins in. Like, she's not just like, oh, you silly jerk. You don't know nothing. You're crazy. Like when we come in, partway through the movie, and it's like him, Lisa, and Stella, and they're all
Yeah.
invested and they're all in on it. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of what we just talked about is it's not just this jerk guy who's looking at Miss Torso, right? All three of them now are like at the window. They're all interested. Even when he brings in his detective friend, he's dismissive because he's a police officer. He probably hears crazy crackpot things all the time. Crockpot? Crackpot idea? Crockpot idea? Wait, a crockpot's what you cook in. But then don't we say that's a load of crock? Right? If something is not true, we're like, what a load of crock.
I think that's right. But you know me, my phrases, you can't.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it. He probably
Okay.
hears a lot of crockpot ideas.
I like it, Seth. You know I love to use food in my phrases. So
Yeah.
we'll
So,
start that
he's
here.
dismissive at first, but then he's also kind of there and he's also watching
Yeah.
and looking to see what can be seen. I think she's great. I love her whole thesis on couples these days. You think too much. You're psychoanalyzing each other. She's like, when we got
Yeah.
together, we were just a mess and we're still a mess and we're happy.
That's
And
right.
her whole thing with him and Lisa is, she's like, if you have half a brain and you can open one eye or something, you would want to
Yeah.
marry her. And like legit, yeah, but we'll talk about her. But yeah, Thelma Ritter is great in this. Stella rules. She's super funny. She matches all of his just bitter, angry, bored, angsty, middle-aged sad sack man stuff, and she takes none of it
No,
while
she's
also
not.
taking care of him.
That's right. But she's not like feeding into it. Oh, poor baby. I'm so sorry you feel
Right.
that way.
Right.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So Lisa, played by Grace Kelly, Princess Grace Kelly.
Monaco, right?
Yeah. How'd you feel?
Yeah. I love her so much. She's such in my opinion, like, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think the first time I met her, but
Mm-hmm.
she's not who you think she is. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like they develop her so much more as it goes on.
Yeah.
And she just keeps coming back because she loves this man. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
I don't even know how long they've been together. Do we know?
It might be said, but
It might,
I
right?
can't remember.
I know. I'm like scanning my notes here.
Yeah,
But
it's like
like,
6 months, 2 years. I'm not sure.
yeah. Yeah. But you want someone, a partner in your life that like even when you're down, and maybe can't be there 100%, they're still showing up, and she shows up with like positive attitude. She brings food.
Yeah.
She's starting to believe. She's the only one at one point believes him.
Yeah.
She says like the great line to Doyle of like, we believe that Thorwald
Yes.
murdered. I was like, we believe. She's so good.
Yeah.
And then the fashion's on another level. Her
Yeah.
accessories are like everything I want.
Yeah. She's amazing. I had sent a tweet out a few weeks back with just a gif of her pulling into the camera
Mm-hmm.
and how it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like her introduction into this, it's on like a whole other level, and it's not just that Grace Kelly is a beautiful woman, which she is, but the use of like colors in this movie. The movie looks great. She looks divine.
It's on another level.
It's on another level of, and like even like part of the way through the movie, she changes her hair color,
Mm-hmm.
which is really interesting. Her introduction always struck me as near sinister. Like the movie, my review for this film, I think just said making tension out of nothing. And like that's what this movie is really good at, is making tension. You don't see the murder. You don't see anything until close to the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just see people
Mm-hmm.
walking in, walking out, lighting cigarettes, cleaning
Mm-hmm.
suitcases. And yet
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're on the edge of your seat, like wondering what. And Lisa's introduction, I've always read it as like, who is this person like coming in? She's coming into his personal space and into this tiny little universe. And not to say like, oh, she's a killer or something, but there's just so much in how she looks, and it's like a half a second. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite shots in all of film. It's pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah. How did you feel about? I know how I feel about them like kiss talking.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm, no. We also
Oh.
have this like weird slow-mo moment of that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like and it's just like breathing and kissing and talking, and it's like necking. Like when I see that, I'm like, y'all are necking,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
Well, I love when Stella says you can't tell the difference between, what does she say, a job interview and a petting session or something.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, it's disgusting. Like Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly, they're like just kissing and then talking, but they don't pull their heads back at all.
No.
And it's not like romantic talking.
No.
It's talking about your day and facts and this and that, and it's like, please pull away, pull back.
I know,
man.
we don't have to
Like,
be that close.
right, like pull back, or better yet, do all your kissing and then do all your talking, but don't
Right.
mix the two together. Don't mix them. You know?
Yeah, I've never done that with a partner of mine.
No, I'm a big pullbacker.
I'm a huge, like, don't get in my space.
Yeah, like, okay, we're kissing. Hey, what are we gonna eat later? Well, and then you kind of
You go in the other room and call.
like rest on one shoulder or elbow or whatever. You gotta get away. You gotta go. Stop doing that. It's horrible. It's my least favorite part of this movie. But she's awesome, and she is totally game to like put the note under the door. She breaks into the apartment. When she signals with the rain that she found the ring, I'm like, dude, this person's incredible. Like,
I have chills. I have chills
what are
talking
you?
about that.
Yeah, like, what are you thinking, LB? Like, you think she's some like basic rich girl who with silly dresses? Like, dude, get over yourself.
And she's not doing it like, yes, she's doing it for him, and she's not doing it to like make a point. She's like fully invested, and this is what she would naturally do. This is her. Like, I am a partner. I am invested in this. I believe you, and like I need to figure this out for myself too.
Yeah.
So
and I
good.
think, yeah, like he doesn't, I don't know. He doesn't appreciate her enough, but oh well.
Yeah, at the end he does.
Yeah. So quickly, wanted to talk about Wendell Corey as the friend, the detective friend, or
Doyle.
as I like to call him, red herring guy. Like the only purpose that he serves is to be like, her trunk was delivered, or like Thorwald is no more a murderer than I am, and they like
Yeah.
look at him for a second, like, wait, are you a murderer? Because we're pretty sure he's a murderer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's kind
I
of
mean,
like right.
yeah, I mean he just serves as like the best friend who works in on the force.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the connection there. I like when a couple of scenes we have Jeffries calling his house looking for him and his wife picks up. It's just like, okay, you idiot. She
Yeah.
literally calls him an idiot.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of that.
It's pretty funny. I also like again like tension out of nothing when he's
Yeah.
calling. Why isn't he back yet? Why isn't he home? You know, because he went to like look into things, or and you just have this sense of just something's wrong. You don't know what's wrong, and things keep going wrong, and you're like, oh, what? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is he dead now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's? Yeah, and it turns out to no, he's not. He just wasn't around.
He was on date night, like the
Yeah,
babysitter said.
and then finally Raymond Burr as Thorwald. How'd you feel about him?
I think he was great. I mean, talk about an intense character that we're
Yeah.
like viewing with through a lens, and then when we
Yeah.
finally come, when he finally shows up at the door, and the knock and the light that goes off, and we're just
Yeah.
waiting and we're waiting. I'm like, how long? Like I thought we were at the door already. I feel like it took a long time to get to the door, but that
Yeah.
added to it the suspense and his
Yeah.
stature.
Yeah.
It's very intimidating.
I mean, yeah, especially in contrast with Jimmy Stewart, who is like a walking stick bug.
And also, he's sitting.
Right. He's
So,
sitting down. Yeah, I thought he was good. I have a question. Do you believe that Mrs. Thorwald was actually sick?
no,
Right?
I don't.
Because when she hears him come in the apartment, she's just hanging out in bed. And then
Yeah.
as he gets closer, that's when she puts like the towel over her forehead
Yeah,
and she just like acts differently.
I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think she was actually sick. No.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, James Stewart, Jimmy Stewart as
Yeah.
LB Jeffries. We've
LBJ.
already talked about him, but what did you think?
Yeah. Like I said, I always enjoy him. He did a good job acting as maybe as someone I'm not too fond of, but he did a good job with this character.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't a fan of seeing his toes all movie.
You have a big problem with this. This has been like a text ever since you watched it. We need to talk about the toes. And I was like, leave Jimmy's piggies alone.
And I would love to. I would love to leave them alone, out of sight, out of
Why?
mind.
What's wrong with them just like peeking out? Hello, getting
It's
some air.
always no, it's always bothered me about casts. If you have a
Oh,
cast and I'm gonna be around you, you gotta find a sock to put over that cast.
my God.
I don't care what it is.
Well, because it's all about you, Seth. Make sure
Well,
you cover those
this should be,
piggies.
yes. But it's gross, and it's like Hitchcock is obsessed with like every shot. If he just tilted down like an inch or tilted up or to the left or to the right, boom, no foot. And it's like, nope, bring it back. Just okay, perfect. The
You know
toes are
what? To
just
be
right there in
honest
the
with
corner.
you, I think you got a little bit of a foot fetish because I didn't notice it that much. There were a couple
Well,
of times I noticed those little piggies. You have a foot fetish, sir.
what's the opposite? Aversion? It's like light bulbs, not light bulbs, like alarms are going off in my head, and I'm like, stop.
You're obsessed.
You know that foot isn't clean.
No,
It's all confined in there. Oh God.
But there's airflow. The toes are sticking out. I think there's enough
There's
room.
no airflow.
So you really have a problem with it's not the toes, it's the foot. The toes are clean. They're out.
They're dirty by proximity to a sweaty, confined. When you take a foot out of a cast, that thing's got to look like a prune.
I don't know. I've never experienced that.
Have you ever broken a bone?
A rib?
Oh, right. Well,
Right,
how could
yeah.
we forget?
Remember that? Yeah.
I have also never broken a bone, not even a riblet. And so I'm not sure. But can you just imagine? Like, oh,
Yeah, probably smelly too.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Get it
But the
out of my
toes are hanging
face.
out, so there's got
Oh
to
my
be
God.
airflow.
Oh
I did crack my
my
head open when I was 2 days before Sam was born.
God.
I always joke I was trying to get out of the world before Sam came in.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Did you have to have like a cast on?
I had a big bandage.
Do you have any
Yep.
pictures?
Oh yeah, from when I was absolutely. I was
Have
jumping
you?
on my mom's bed, my mom and dad's bed, and I flew into their Formica headboard.
Ooh,
Yeah, 2 days
yikes.
before Sam was born. I don't know how they didn't send my mom into labor, but
Wow.
yeah.
I was also jumping on my parents' bed one time and
hmm
I just went completely horizontal and dug into the top of my head um, on their nightstand.
How old are you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
Can you imagine if it was the same day?
I know. I was 2, so if you were 2 years old
Oh, I
in
was a little
May,
older than that.
yeah, okay.
Anyway, Jimmy Stewart's great. Love him. And like we said, he's a jerk. And I'm not trying to like make all these excuses for him, even though I've spent the last hour making all these excuses for him. But I think that's his journey. He goes from being a total jerk to appreciating what's in his own backyard. Like that's,
Right. Yes, that's
like
exactly it.
some characters in films literally travel the world only to appreciate what they have at the beginning, and he doesn't travel because he can't, but he still goes on a journey.
That's right.
I don't understand Lisa being so infatuated with him.
Yeah, I
Opposites
don't get that
attract.
either.
Like, that's all I can say. He might be really different from everyone in her life. When Miss Torso has guys over and she said, he's like, oh, it looks like your apartment, right? And then she makes a comment like she doesn't like any of them. And he's like,
Right.
how do you know? And she says, well, it looks like my apartment, right? That was like a deep, deep little comment there. Um, and so, yeah, maybe she's just looking for someone like him. And she does want to go on all these crazy adventures. And
Yeah, I mean, and imagine meeting him when he's not hurting in a cast.
right, right.
I'm sure the conversations are great. I mean,
Yeah,
to see him active and walking around and being super passionate about his job and his story, I could see
right.
me being attracted to him.
And she does want to go on the adventures because she goes on this one with him.
That's
So
right.
he
That's
just
right.
it's all him. Like he's the problem. He needs to give her a shot.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, look how she
I know.
handles it. Like she rules anyway. We love you,
Anyway,
Grace Kelly.
MVP. MVP for this movie.
Definitely. So I quickly want to ask you about the neighbors. Did you have any favorite neighbors?
Yes. I loved the couple sleeping out on their
Insane.
porch. Well, not porch, their fire escape.
Fire escape.
It's
Yeah.
hot. It's hot.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I find it hysterical. They drag the mattress out only to drag it back in during the day. And then their dog goes down in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
I love that part. But my favorite is Miss Lonely Hearts.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah, I think so for me too.
There's so many little things we learn about her. But one of my favorite things is when she's putting on lipstick and she has her glasses off and then she puts her glasses on to reapply it just to make sure it's like on
Mm.
right and then takes them off again and I feel that so hard. I feel like that's who I would be.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Even though like I'm not really a drinker
Yeah.
nor am I ever really alone or what I consider overdosing, but for some reason this character just like resonated. And then watching her go on the date and then we see her
Ugh.
leave the complex and then
Yeah.
we get to see like past this and
Yeah.
like I mean, I'm obsessed with everything about her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the music that saves her.
I think her story is the best use of the looking in through the windows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it might be because everything with her doesn't require that we get like facts. And so there's just so much
Mm-hmm.
more like feeling. Like when we're looking in on
Mm.
Thorwald, we're looking like, oh my God, look, the mattress is rolled up. Oh my God, look,
Mm-hmm.
the book bag or all. And it does still give us feeling, but like hers is like a silent film.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yes.
it's just a silent movie, and we feel all of it. She is, you know, how old do you think she was?
40s?
Yeah, so I think she's like a middle-aged woman, which is
Yeah.
oftentimes in movies like the most ignored area
Yeah.
of life, right?
Yeah.
And we're just highlighting how she feels when she's practicing the date.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, yeah, I'm just like, oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
And then the absolute heartbreak of when she does bring a guy back, and they're like, oh, he looks pretty young. And then he's assaulting her, and she has to get him out of there, all the way through, you know, gonna overdose on pills. She's like clutching a Bible, which like the cross on the book is like so big so that you can see what it is. And, that's communicating to us that she's looking for either a way out of what she's about to do or permission for what she's about to do. Like, yeah. And then she hears the music, and it's great. It's great. It's
It's
like
so great.
maybe the best part of this movie is
It
her.
is. And then when she goes, we not to shoot to the end, but when we're like seeing all of our friends in the complex and where they're
Yeah.
at, and everybody for the most part everyone leaves off pretty happy, minus
Yeah.
the newlyweds who have been happy the whole time.
Right.
And she's talking to the musician, and she's like, "I
Yeah.
love this song. It means so much to me." I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm dead. I
Yeah,
love
and
this."
I mean, they definitely end up together from
I know.
what we can
Oh,
believe. Yeah, what we're
oh
shown. I
gosh.
think it's incredible. Do you know that guy is the guy who made Alvin and the Chipmunks?
I didn't know that.
The piano player,
That's
real
amazing. That's
musician in
great.
real life.
I love it. Wasn't Hitchcock in that scene with him?
Yeah, he's winding the clock,
Yeah.
which I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
One of the
was
scenes,
it
yeah.
was this a job? Like, did people go around winding people's clocks? Wasn't this something you could do for yourself?
Yeah, maybe it was a friend.
Maybe he was like, in this movie, I'll be Hitchclock.
Oh my God. I wish I didn't laugh at that.
It's great.
Did you have that planned?
Nope. That was all fresh, all new.
So quick. He's so quick, that Sethy.
I love Miss Lonely Hearts. I love her. I want
Yeah.
a whole movie, just a silent
Aw.
movie of observing this woman, and it's
love her.
perfect. Like, a lot of people will say Rear Window is a perfect movie. I think that movie within this movie is perfection. It's movie magic.
Yeah, that little vignette, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
the
great.
green color she wears.
Yeah.
Complements her hair. Everything. I love it.
I also love how, like, in between being worried about Thorwald and all this stuff, they're also like watching her and they're like, oh my God, like another character is in crisis, right?
Well,
Like,
Stella's like, I know those pills. I know
Yeah.
those pills. This is not
so it's like,
good.
well, now, everybody. And then the dog gets murdered. So,
Oh my God, the dog murder.
but yeah, like we see all of these neighbors, and
Mhm.
that's what I was trying to get at with LB is he looks down on these people.
Literally.
He is almost like a god in that when they look into his windows, they can't see him, right? Because of the lighting. If he pulls back, he can see all of them. He's got binoculars, he's got the camera. They can't see him. And so he's just observing, and he's looking down on all of them. Like, I think both literally and figuratively. And by the end of it, he comes to an appreciation, as we do, for all of them, because we see them in their highs and in their lows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I love Miss Torso. I think that she's great. I think, like I said, she fills up the frame just so, like, I'm not a dancer. This might come as a big surprise.
You're not. Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm not. And so just to see like how she moves throughout her like little space is
Yeah.
awesome. And I love, and I can't place my finger on why I love it so much, when her guy comes home.
I love it too.
He's shorter than her. He's like a little redhead dude. And he's like, I'm hungry.
What's in the icebox?
And he's just oblivious to, everything that has happened, the murder, like, of her next door neighbor, and what she's been going through with the guys and dancing, And I didn't take it in like a, oh, she's, she's not being good to him. Like,
No,
yeah, like I just took it as like, her guy's back. All right. I don't know if it's her husband or her boyfriend or who, but
her heart is back.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just nice that he's a little
so
guy.
nice. He's a little guy.
It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So you mentioned already the set. The set is incredible. The whole thing is built at Paramount. They have to take the floor out because it's so tall. It's like 6 stories tall.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Which when
Yeah.
Grace Kelly does that maneuver off of the fire escape and into Thorwald's window, you're like, and so according to what I read online, Jimmy Stewart says that was actually her.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a stunt person. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
confirm that. But whoever does it, my God, that's dangerous.
And in a dress.
Yes,
Like
it's
such
nuts.
grace.
It's nuts.
Kelly. Such
Hitchcock worked out of LB's apartment the whole time. He's got like remote controls and microphones. He's talking to the different actors, and it's really funny to me that like this grown man is like playing in this way.
You find that funny? I find that like fascinating. Like that is another added element to this movie, knowing that they all had earpieces in, getting direction.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
wow.
mean, practically it makes sense because it's so large. Like it's
Yeah.
like a real courtyard, and so he can't be yelling out across to them. There's multiple people in the frame at a time, and so you also can't. It all makes sense. It's just very funny to me because I'm just imagining Hitchcock as like a little boy with like a big remote control, being like, okay, now do this.
I think it's great. My question for you, Seth, is if someone was peeping into your life through your window, what are they seeing on the daily?
I had this exact same question for you. What would your nickname be?
Probably something like Cat Lady, because I am a peeping Tom to all of the neighborhood cats.
Right.
And so you'll see me, like I saw one of the cats we take care of get assaulted by 2 cats in the street. And it was early in the morning, and I ran out in my robe and I said, "Stop it! Get off of her!" And so I am constantly looking across the street at my neighbors' cats. They all have names. Musili showed up today that I named.
Oh my God.
What?
You're LB. And the cats are your neighborhood.
Correct. Yes. So that's why I'm like, I work from home. So I don't really care about my neighbors. It's the cats. And I've created all stories for them. They all have names. They all have breakfast food names. Like today, Musili showed up at my front door. Like I tapped at the window. And Musili came over. So probably something along, wow, there she is again, that cat lady.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Your husband, Anthony, is like Grace Kelly, and he comes in with dinner, and you're like, stop. You won't believe what these cats are doing.
That is so true, because Aunt does come home from work and make me dinner. And I'm just like, wait, you'll never believe what happened. Look at this. Crumb Cake's hanging out with an opossum. Well, yeah. And then one of them, Seth, brought a black sock to our patio. So I'm like, where'd this black sock come from? I'm like, Crumb Cake, did you do this? Eggo, did you do this? Waffles? Pancakes, was it you?
Oh. That is ominous. I'm laughing, but yeah, if a cat brought a black sock, I would be like,
and the black sock keeps moving. And so I keep looking at all of them. I'm like, who did this? And then an opossum showed up. I was like, did the opossum bring a black sock? And I walked out to my patio, and there was a possum and Crumb Cake were hanging out. And then we have a raccoon that comes, Polly Walnuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have stories and names for all of them.
Amazing. You are LB. You're LB.
Yeah,
Wow.
LB Cat. LB Cat.
Wow. Okay. Well, wow. If someone looked in on my life, they'd see a lot of movie watching, definitely. They'd see
Mhm.
a lot of child rearing,
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, there's that guy pouring out a cup of Cheerios again. Um, editing podcasts again.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'd be. Movie dad, maybe?
Movie dad.
Yeah.
Green beanie guy.
Yeah. Green beanie. Green beanie.
Yeah, that is your signature.
I
Green
know.
beanie.
I got the glasses. I got the hat back. It's classic Seth look right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this movie was made for $1 million, about $11 million today, which is
Yeah.
still really great, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they talk about how, building this set was unprecedented. And I mean, truly, you look at it, you know that that's major, major, major work, right?
And all the lighting.
Yep. All the
Let's
lighting,
not
the rain, all that
forget about
stuff.
that. The rain. The
Yeah.
rain.
Yeah.
Insane.
So even with this unprecedented, you know, um, building situation, still pretty fiscally reined in. Goes on to make 5.3 its initial run, so pretty great.
Okay.
Pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Stewart did not take salary. He took, back end on the
Yeah, I
box
read
office.
that.
This might be the highest rated movie that we've done. I'm not sure, but this has a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.4 on Letterboxd, which is just about as high as you can get on Letterboxd, and then a 100% on Metacritic.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy. And I think like the audience score on Metacritic was still like 89 or something.
Wow.
Crazy high, crazy high. This was entered into the National Film Registry in 1997. Ebert gave this 4 stars. So I mean, like, I don't know that we've done one higher than this.
Yeah, I don't know.
And for production schedule, they filmed from November 27th to January 13th,
Okay.
which was also pretty impressive. Month and a half.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow. I'm like,
Yeah.
you hear these things and you're just like, and it takes me how many days to do laundry?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So we have a segment of the show where we talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, and what we would keep. It's called What the Keck. I'll go first since I'm kind of sprinting this on you. I am cutting every shot of Jimmy Stewart's toes. I'm probably going to edit out some of the detective friend. He's the most like bleh thing to me. I would make it more phone calls so that we can be looking out at the neighbors more.
I agree. Yeah.
And then for keeping, I'm keeping every second that Grace Kelly is in this movie. Everything. The ending, her entrance, all the conversations with her. Love it so much.
Yeah. I'm keeping everything with Miss Lonely Hearts.
Oh yeah.
I also agree with you. I'm gonna edit a little bit with Doyle.
Yeah.
I don't think we like when he comes and he sees Lisa in the apartment and they have Brandy together, and we could have shortened that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And then cutting completely. I don't know if there's anything that I'm cutting out completely. Everything had a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about blinding Thorwald?
I actually really enjoy that shot, that whole sequence.
I think
and
it's great.
And the play of color and the light. Yeah.
I saw a lot of people knocking it, and I was like, you know what? Come on, man. Just
like if Jeffries is a action figure, if he's like a superhero, this is what he does. This is how he fights it with his bulbs.
Right.
And his camera.
Here comes Flashbulb Man.
Yeah. Flashbulb Jeffries.
Maybe that's what the LB stands for. Light
Light
Bulb
bulb
Jeffries. Wow. We cracked it.
I can't believe it. Lightbulb Jeffries.
We asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Felicia at Cinnamoroni.
Oh, hey.
You know, we haven't mentioned in a while. She's the host of the Seeing Faces in Movies podcast, which you should be listening to. If you listen to us and you're not listening to her, get out. Never come back.
What kind of movie friend are you?
Exactly.
Not a good one.
She says, Grace Kelly throwing herself at James Stewart is literally me.
I love Felicia's thirst level.
It's unparalleled.
No, it's like I'm on Twitter, I think, for two things. One, to like retweet our show, and 2 to see Felicia's thirst level.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't comment, but like just know I appreciate it, and it's like one of the things I look for.
I mean, she in that way, she truly is Lisa, because Lisa's thirst level in this film is also off the charts.
Right.
Catnap at
Catnap.
cat_Chinetti.
Cute.
Cat, she's a co-host of another show that we're friends with. We should do this again sometime with Mark and Cat.
Fun.
She says, while maybe not Hitchcock's best, it's probably my favorite. The tone is spot on, the mystery is thrilling, and the jokes mostly still land. Grace Kelly is the most wonderful, and watching her with the purse is my favorite thing ever.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
Carlo, the movie loot at Thief CGT.
A triple namer, that one.
I know. He says, it is my Hitchcock number 5. Great film that just gets better with each viewing. Watching a behind-the-scenes doc adds so much, but in and of itself, it's so much fun.
Where do I get this behind-the-scenes doc?
Let us know, Carlo.
Carlo.
Send us an
Hit me
email.
up.
Moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, hit me up.
What's up, Doc?
Tim Sinclair Art Hole at Artist Sinclair. He says, I watched it last week for the first time in over 30 years, and it's still his best film.
Wow.
And then he posted some art that he did of Rear Window. That's amazing.
Really?
I'm going to retweet it when this episode comes out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
check
you.
him out. Artist
So I could
Sinclair. Sinclair. He posts art that he makes all the time, and it's awesome.
Cool.
Isaiah Washington at, I'm not sure how to say this, Izabod 13I? IZABOD 13I.
Yeah.
Izabod?
Izabod.
Isaiah Izabod?
Izabody. Hey.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, am I supposed to be seeing a picture in this word? I'm not sure. Anyway, Isaiah says, I'm not sure if it's his best. That third act was a baner. Clapping hands emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Ursula Munaz S at Ursula Munaz S13. Another 13 in the name. What's going on here, guys?
It's a lucky number, I guess.
Says, Rear Window is literally my favorite movie, and even I agree that we see too much of James Stewart's toes in it.
Wow.
Thanks, Ursula.
Thank you, Ursula.
So there's some friends that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. All right, these are reviews from letterboxd.com. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a film. And we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a film. And the half-star review, do you have any requests?
I mean, Jimmy Stewart.
I know. It's got to be Jimmy Stewart, right?
Bring it back.
Okay. I did not practice this. When we did It's a
Remember
Wonderful
that
Life,
whole impersonation?
I practiced for like 2 days. This one, I'm just going to wing it, okay?
Burger.
Yeah. Doyle. Is Doyle there?
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, get him on the phone. There's a murder. Okay. Half-star review
Okay.
says, great plot, great development, interesting take on murder mystery, amazing movie all around. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And none of you will ever know why. And I pulled that one
Because it's a mystery?
because I was like, what is going on here? They hate it,
What?
they hate it, they hate it, and no one will ever know why.
But they love it. They love it. They love it.
Great plot, great development. Yeah.
How I want to talk to these half-star people.
Well, if you are ever interested, you can go onto Letterboxd, go to the search, go to the review tab, and just type in exactly what I said. It'll pull it
But
up.
like, can we message them?
You can comment on their thing. Yeah.
Another thing to comment on.
3-star review says, there were too many long and, in my opinion, boring dialogues, but had really great non-verbal scenes. Really liked how the movie showed the individual lives of the apartment residents. Overall, a solid movie with a great concept and thrilling ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meh.
5-star review says, bored with his date, Jimmy Stewart keeps channel surfing until he finds a good mystery. It's hot. He's got itches he can't scratch, literally and figuratively. Then he finds out how much more interesting he finds his girlfriend when he puts her in front of a camera and she's in danger. Hitchcock isn't subtle, and I love him for it. Minority opinion, I know. 5 stars.
Very well said.
Yeah. So, you've seen this movie before. Did this movie get better for you? Same? Worse? What are you rating it?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Same. Same for me.
Okay.
Same feeling, same excitement watching. Who knows? Ask me in 2 weeks. Was there a murder at the end of it? I don't know. But that's not the point for me for this film
Yeah. Ooh.
that I'm rating 5 stars.
Holy moly. Wow, I didn't see that coming.
It's so, like, the creativity of it
Yeah.
and the visual aspect of it is really what truly sells me. And Grace Kelly, I adore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here for Jimmy Stewart. I'm here for Grace Kelly and the neighbors.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
You know what, Seth? Wait, before you give your review.
Yeah.
We need to start watching some shit because I don't know if I'm liking giving out these 4 and 5 stars. I got to be honest with you. Like, I feel like it's been too, I don't know, it's been too good.
Yeah, you think we're on
Movie
a hot
friends?
streak?
Yeah, my credibility of people being like, wow, if you're saying it's a good movie, it's got to be good. I'm going to lose that soon.
Got it. Well, I mean, you won't lose credibility on Rear Window. Even the
It's
person
true.
who gave the half-star review
I know.
still said it was so great.
Yeah, this doesn't really apply to this movie, but
Got it.
this film,
Got it.
I should say.
So I agree with you. I'm going to call this a movie.
Okay.
Yep. And I had watched it before and I had said 4 stars. And I think I am still there. 4 stars.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
And I think that this is my favorite next to Rope. Rope is very different, you know. I mean, what movie is really like this one, you know?
Well, right.
Yeah.
Did you see there was a remake for TV, apparently?
Yeah, I remember watching it. We watched it as a kid.
Was it
Christopher
good?
Reeves is in it. I don't
Oh.
remember if it was good, unfortunately. But Christopher Reeves is great. And it's a different spin on it, you know,
Yeah.
bringing in his real life, you know, paralysis and pretty amazing. And I definitely recommend that you watch this. If you haven't seen it or if you're kind of like, oh, I don't really know a lot about Hitchcock, watch this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm recommending this.
Hey, if you're not really sure about us, but you want to be, subscribe to this show. You'll get our new episodes coming into your feed every week, multiple times a week. I mean, come on. We put out a lot of content here.
Sure do.
Also, give us a rating and a review.
It is my birthday month.
Michelle's birthday month, Mystery Michelle month, Mystery month.
Yeah.
We'd also love it if you would reach out, send us an email, tell us what you think about the movies that we're doing, tell us about movies you think we should do, whatever. Movies you're watching, maybe movies that you're making. Let us know. We want to be part of your conversation. moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also support the show, which would be so sick. Oh my God, can you imagine? It's $5 a month. You get access to all of our additional shows, which at this point is like 10. No, not really. Maybe 8, 7, something like that. There's a lot of them.
It's a lot. It's a lot, guys.
You like Studio Ghibli? You like Seventh Heaven? You like action movies with a 69-year-old woman? Guess what? We've got all of that.
There's a show for you, friends.
There's literally a show for everybody at this point. Yeah. All right. Next week, this is going to be another huge director that we have not talked about yet on the show. And in my heart, I wasn't sure where to go with mysteries. There was movies that I thought about doing that are like so good. And I was like, you know what? I'm giving my pick to a director that deserves for us to talk about him. So, next week, you know how I said 4.4 is high on Letterboxd for Rear Window? Well, this movie is currently sitting at a 4.6.
Whoa.
In fact, this is the number 6th highest rated narrative film on Letterboxd. This is in the top 10, folks.
I wish you didn't tell me all this.
I know, but I'm doing a lot of build up here.
I know that's the problem with things. When things are built up too much,
yeah,
I go in with why don't I like this more?
Right. Well, just forget everything I said.
I can't. Well, actually, I probably will.
I was going to say, if it's like every episode, we're going to turn these microphones off and forget this ever happened.
So true.
You're going to text me and say,
like,
what's the name of the movie?
That's so true. Ugh,
anyway, enough build up. Next week, we are talking about Akira Kurosawa's 1963 High and Low. This is a longer one, 142 minutes, so 220. Currently streaming on HBO Max and the Criterion Channel. And yeah.
I've never, ever heard of this. So
yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Is most this people another Tampopo situation?
No, most people know Kurosawa for his samurai films.
Okay.
Seven Samurai, Ran, Yojimbo, Sanjuro, Rashomon. Well, I'll talk about it later, but
yeah.
I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Michelle. Have fun on your vacation.
Thanks, Seth. I mean, by the time they hear this, I'll be back.
Oh, I mean, how was your vacation? Well, anyway, till next week when we're talking about High and Low from 1963. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!